They might be the subject of heated debate, but their quality is not in doubt. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 well-regarded controversial films.
I'm gonna die, I know it!
Looking for more WatchMojo videos with a British twist? Well, pack your bags and take a trip to WatchMojo UK for even more bloody brilliant content. For this list, we're looking at great movies that earned some bad press prior or during their initial run, but have nonetheless gone on to be well-regarded in critical circles.
Kill, kill, kill! Shoot, shoot, shoot!
Number 10, Straw Dogs.
This is my house.
As the director behind the hyper-violent western The Wild Bunch, Sam Peckinpah was hardly a stranger to controversy. Straw Dogs follows Dustin Hoffman and Susan George as they move to a small village in the UK and are victimized by local hooligans. While the ending plays out like an R-rated version of Home Alone, controversy arose due to an overly long rape scene, with critics accusing Peckinpah of eroticizing the ordeal. Sitting with a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, Straw Dogs is now a cult classic and popular enough to have earned itself a mediocre remake.
I'm not learning to please you, baby. I'm learning so I can kick your ass.
Number 9, Chien Andalou. Controversy comes in many shapes and sizes. Spanish director Luis Buñuel's first outing was a surreal and disjointed experience designed to upset the French bourgeois in the 1920s. Described by Roger Ebert as an inspiration for independent films, and Chien Andalou starts off with a bone-chilling scene depicting a woman's eye being cut open. Shockingly, Buñuel's short film proved popular with society's elite, with a wealthy couple even commissioning a sequel. It might not have received the response the director was expecting, but Chien Andalou sits with a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes and is considered an important and influential entry in the history of cinema. Number 8, Midnight Cowboy.
And if you ain't man enough to do it for yourself, I'd be happy to oblige.
The only X-rated film to win Best Picture. John Schlesinger's twisted take on the American dream follows a young Texan who heads to the big city with the simple dream of hitting it big as a male prostitute.
I'm walking here!
Admittedly tame by today's standards, Midnight Cowboy tackles homosexuality in an era when it was still taboo. Depicted as a grim concrete jungle, any romanticism associated with New York City is completely stripped away by Schlesinger, with casual and unglamorized sex scenes sprinkled throughout. In 1994, the National Film Registry selected Midnight Cowboy for preservation.
I ain't a for real cowboy, but I am one hell of a stud.
Number 7, The Life of Brian.
Hail Messiah! I'm not the Messiah!
Depending on who you ask, either the best or worst faith-based movie of all time. Monty Python anticipated an uproar when they released The Life of Brian, a satire based on the story of Christ. Despite the jokes rarely targeting religion, Brian Cohen is mistaken for the Messiah, despite being a generally naughty boy.
He's not the Messiah! He's a very naughty boy! Now go away!
Banned by several town councils in the UK, with some lasting well into the 21st century, nuns and rabbis took to the streets and protested outside theaters screening Life of Brian. This came to a head on BBC Two, when John Cleese and Michael Palin engaged in a debate with Malcolm Muggeridge and the Bishop of Southwark.
You think that we're ridiculing Jesus, and we say, sort of sincerely and truthfully, that that is certainly not what we intended to do.
Number 6, Reservoir Dogs.
Shoot this piece of shit.
Leaving Quentin Tarantino off this list would be, well, controversial. Reservoir Dogs earned praise right out of the gate, with critics hailing it as a milestone release for independent filmmaking. First screened at the Sundance Film Festival, where it failed to win any awards, Tarantino's directorial debut earned recognition due to its colorful language and realistic depiction of violence.
It's so hard to keep this mouth on my face.
The latter proved to be a bit much for certain members of the audience, and walkouts were not all that uncommon. Even legendary horror film director Wes Craven had trouble stomaching it.
There's two ways you can go on this job. My way or the highway.
Number 5, American Psycho.
Hey, Paul!
An adaptation of Bret Easton Ellis's novel of the same name, Mary Herron's black comedy practically made Christian Bale's career. Patrick Bateman is a yuppie investment banker who loves Phil Collins, hates his contemporaries, and occasionally indulges his murderous fantasies. The book was highly controversial upon its release, with feminist groups protesting due to its graphic depiction of violence against women. Herron's adaptation tones down the content while maintaining the social commentary and bleak nature of the novel, but it still gets pretty grisly. Not every critic appreciated American Psycho, but Bale's dance is practically legendary.
I think their undisputed masterpiece is Hip to Be Square, a song so catchy.
Number 4, The Last Temptation of Christ.
My kingdom. It's not here. Not on earth.
Even Martin Scorsese is not immune to controversy. Based on Nikos Kazantzky's novel, The Last Temptation of Christ envisions the biblical story as a constant battle against various forms of temptation, including lust and fear.
You want to know who my God is? Fear.
Deemed blasphemous by many Christian sects, the most controversial moments happen during the final act, when Willem Dafoe's Jesus dreams of a normal life while attached to the cross. Many countries outright banned Scorsese's film, with the Philippines and Singapore yet to reverse their decision. Earning an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, the iconic director also received a nod during the year's Oscars.
He blew over me like a cool breeze and said, "Stand up."
Number 3. The Exorcist.
Hallowed be thy name.
Even now, William Friedkin's classic isn't what you would call an easy sit, but back in the 70s, it was so upsetting, some theaters actually provided barf bags during its initial run. In the UK, the film earned itself an X rating, and following the introduction of the Video Recordings Act, the BBFC, fearing its reputation would inspire underage viewings, refused to approve Friedkin's film. As a result, the VHS version was pulled from stores in the UK for roughly a decade, further adding to the film's overall notoriety. Though The Exorcist may have been too much for some viewers' tastes, it is widely considered to be one of the greatest horror films ever made.
Do it again. In time. No, now.
Number 2. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Obviously, Leatherface earns a place on our list. Tobe Hooper's influential horror film was rather successful upon its release, partly due to a fantastic marketing campaign, which presented the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as being based on a true story. Upon its release, it was pulled from many theaters as a result of complaints. Some countries simply banned the film nationwide. In the UK, despite a one-year theatrical run in London, the BBFC not only banned Hooper's flick, but subsequently refused to screen any movies with the word chainsaw in the title. After more than 2 decades on the sidelines, Leatherface was finally allowed back on British screens. Number 1. A Clockwork Orange.
I'll teach you to break into real people's houses.
Stanley Kubrick was known for taking risks, with his adaptation of Anthony Burgess's novel serving as a prime example. A Clockwork Orange follows Alex DeLarge, the sociopathic leader of a delinquent group he refers to as droogs, who demonstrate a knack for violence. Blending disturbing imagery and a contradictory soundtrack, Kubrick's masterpiece was condemned by the National Catholic Office for Motion Pictures, forbidding any Roman Catholic from watching it. Shockingly, the director himself asked Warner Brothers to withdraw A Clockwork Orange from the UK, amidst allegations that it was inspiring copycat criminals.
Get me help. I want to be sick.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.